Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now. That was a track that was created by Magic Tracks, one of the people who's a part of our community. Thank you, Magic Tracks, for passing that along. It's a pretty nice little song got going on there. It's today's theme, since we have started to accept your musical submissions so long as they're original music compositions. I'm a big fan of the 8-bit type of sound, but that was pretty close. It wasn't exactly 8-bitty, but it worked for me. You know, I was able to kind of groove with it. Here in my new YouTube t-shirt, you see this? They sent this to me. Yeah! Huh? Yeah, that's how much they like me. I got a t-shirt from YouTube. It's great. No, I appreciate it. How many other people have YouTube t-shirts? Oh, you do? Guess I'm not that special after all. But you're special. Thank you for tuning in to the LockerGnome Daily Report. That's TLDR. Also short for Too Long Didn't Read. And hopefully you have been reading, because there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, specifically on LockerGnome.com. All of those links are in this video's description. Have you looked? Give you a chance to look there. Yeah, you figure it out there? Did you get the links? Well, while you're looking at the links, let me go ahead and introduce some people to you. Matt Guru 15, Yamazaru Ninja, Ben Tar, Jamie Bouch. We also have C. Condon, Eggy, April Elise Martin, this damn Scotsman, not to be confused with that damn Scotsman. We also have Tech Guru JR89, Magic Tracks, the guy who composed that song, amazing. Micro Agent, Mr. Joseph Brown, Simba Kyle K, Poimo, Unidentified 6201, Stacy Ferris, who's apparently at WK, which I'm sure is short for work. Wick. I assume that's what WK. Wick. He's at Wick. Don't bother him when he's at Wick. A little chilly in here. Gonna go ahead and throw on my... This is not exactly a hoodie. Well, I've been wearing hoodies for years. There's something like... Does that look good? So you can see a little bit of the tube sticking out there. Tube! YouTube. Ow. Okay, enough of that. Let's go ahead and tell people that I am streaming live right now. Feel free to let others know as well. Don't think that it's just going to be me telling people that I'm streaming live. You should do that as well, because it's showing that you care when you share. Gonna go ahead and tell people there on Facebook, hey! And then I'm gonna give the link. That's all. Hey! And then the link. Let's see how many people pay attention. Hey! Well, it's short, sweet. Earlier this morning, I tweeted out a single word, hi, and I got like 50 responses. Just for tweeting hi. That was it. Hi. Let me go ahead, and while I still can, like this video, just like 45 other people have done, with 118 people tuned in live at this moment. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, apparently I need to connect to Google. It logged me out. I'm not very happy about that. It does that every so often. Now, I learned over time that I have the ability to type and talk at the same time, even though what I happen to be talking about is completely different than what I happen to be typing. And I just keyed in my Google username and password while I was doing that whole, pseudo conversation thing that I had going on with y'all. Let's go ahead and welcome those who are on YouTube, including Crazy Fan Kid 2569, Big Will 4045, Handball Courts, IBM ThinkPad R51, King Defenders, who says it's been a while since he watched the live videos, but how he's missed them, thank you. Britton Harrison, Mason54X, and we also have the B Davis 2195, and Evangelist Soldier, and Hayes Hacker 1. These are all the people who are tuned in on YouTube watching live. Thank you for that. Let's go ahead and get going with the headlines that are going to be coming up during this particular broadcast, covering 5 tips to help you prepare for a disaster. And no, I don't mean preparing for an average show, which we all know is a disaster. Old scams never die, at least not while they still work. That's another article we've posted on LockerGnome. An Asus Transformer Prime review. What? We're going to review or talk about a review of an Android device? Oh my goodness! Some people think the world has ended, as if this was the first time. No, it actually wouldn't be the first time. The article's already on LockerGnome.com, and no, I didn't write it. I'm just sharing it with you. We also have 5 tips on operating a game server, how to build websites in Windows 7, and asking the question, are game publishers obsolete? Why haven't developers ditched them yet? So, yeah, I don't know, honestly, what the world's coming to, April Elise Martin. It's crazy. Cats sleeping with dogs. It's raining. Do you hear that? There's something going on. Oh, I know what it is.
What?
The people are in the front yard. We've got people who live in our front yard. It's a very sensitive subject. We tried kicking them out last week, but they didn't like that too much, so we're just letting them camp there. It's not a big deal. A little awkward, yeah, but what are you going to do? People start camping out in your front yard. What, are you going to turn them away? I'm not that kind of guy. All right, so I am the kind of guy who is going to be sharing with you. Wait, do you guys... Wait, zipped or should I go t-shirt? Should I go just a YouTube t-shirt here? Let's just do that then. I tried putting it on, but I'm not sure if I like the look of that. I haven't done a t-shirt only. I've been wearing hoodies for so long. I don't want to get shot. Never know. You never know. Are they squatters? Well, one of them's squatting right now, but I'm not going to tell you why. Get it? Because when you're usually squatting, you're... Well, I thought it was funny. Wicket thought it was funny. Well, it makes 2 of us. Let's go ahead and talk about 5 tips to help prepare you for a disaster. It's an article posted on LockerGnome.com. Feel free to share it, and I'd assume that you've already shared it. That's just it could be it's a bad guess, maybe. Here we go. Surprisingly enough, one of our more popular articles in terms of the comments that we received yesterday was educating you on human backup. As in, what are you going to do in case of an emergency, or ways to prepare for an emergency by creating what they call, what do they call it? What was it again? God, we just wrote the article yesterday. What the hell was it? A grab bag? No. A bug out bag. Yes, that's what it was. So memorable, as a matter of fact, that I forgot what the hell it was called. You want to try this one again? Yeah. Put a YouTube shirt on him, he turns into an idiot. All right. Okay. What? Yeah. What? Now? Yep. Let's try it again. Hey, are you prepared? Am I prepared? Or? Our bug out bag article yesterday on LockerGnome.com was probably one of the more popular ones. We had a lot of comments there and quite a few suggestions. And thank you for the suggestions that you posted on the article on LockerGnome.com. We decided to follow up with that, given that so many of you were really interested in creating a backup bag of sorts in case of emergency. You shouldn't just be thinking about backing up your computer or grabbing your computer in case of an emergency, especially since that computer may not help you survive in the wild. But there are other ways you can prepare for a disaster. And I guess, at least according to Reddit, I think tomorrow is National or International Backup Day. So use this time to not just back up your data, on any one of the computers that you have in your house or home or business or home office, whatever. Also use it to prepare for a greater disaster, not just having your computer data at risk, but potentially mitigating any kind of life-threatening emergency. Prepare for bad things before bad things actually happen. We've got 5 tips for you, and these are things you got to consider. Even if you don't think it's ever going to happen to you, that's usually when disaster strikes. So we've got 5 tips to help you prepare for a disaster. Number 1, store plenty of food and water. I have a couple of rather large tanks of water in our garage, easily accessible. And we've got a few dried food supplies. Granted, I would want to store up more dried food supplies, just in case something happens, like an earthquake or, I doubt I'd have to worry about a flood for where I live. But, if something bad happens, you got to eat and you got to drink. Unless you're like that woman on, what was it, My Strange Addiction? It's a show on TV. I'm not kidding. She drinks her urine. Not cool. It's not suggested. Not even, well, I guess if it was the last thing you could do. So, another thing that you might want to do without grossing yourself out is plan for multiple exit strategies. Think of contingencies. Think of any type of thing that could go wrong and work through it. So that way when something does go wrong, at least you've got that plan laid out and people know what to do. Whether you live alone or you live with a family, you're doing everybody a favor by planning ahead like this. The next tip, if your state and or region allows you to possess firearms, get one. Yeah, I know, Americans, right to bear arms and all that stuff. Whether you want to, have a gun on you all the time, depending on which state you live in, it's generally a good thing to be able to protect yourself. Imagine if something really, really, really bad happened, like a zombie attack or something like that. Okay, maybe that's a bit outlandish. Let's go with something a little more realistic. Food supply lines were cut off, and suddenly there was no way of getting food shipped in from various regions, and people discovered that you had some food and water stored. How are you going to keep them away? And what if they come at you with a gun? How are you going to protect yourself? I'm not saying that you've got to become a someone who shoots everybody on sight, certainly before asking questions. But in terms of protecting yourself, your property, and your family, I hate to say it, but if push comes to shove, the one who's in control is likely the one who's got a weapon. And I hope that the weapon that you have isn't something as simple as a pair of scissors, because this probably won't stand up very well against someone who's got a chamber with a bullet shoved down the other end that could fire across the way and possibly hurt you, or kill you, or someone that you know or love. So, another thing you may consider, establishing alternative energy and communication solutions. So, energy, right? You need a way to make fire or heat, or potentially to generate energy, like the radios that we have for our emergency supplies include those that have hand cranks on them, so that we can generate energy. And potentially pull in radio signals or light our way, with a little flashlight. And having something that doesn't rely on battery powers with battery that has to be replaced is something I would say is you want to do. Plan ahead. These are the things that, are going to bite you. Won't you... I would hesitate to ever know that something bad would happen to you or anybody. And after you've watched this video and learned, well, hey, there's some simple steps that you can take to protect yourself and to keep yourself out of harm's way, or at least better than most people have, I would have hoped you would have made moves to fix the situation before it becomes a real problem. And, a few other thoughts that we had, and this is something that is difficult to do in certain cases, but establishing relationships with your neighbors. And they say good fences make good neighbors. I do my best to at least know who's in my neighborhood. I do have open communications with at least one of my neighbors and a couple who live down the block. Some of the neighbors are a bit standoffish. That's fine. That's okay. But generally speaking, especially in times of emergency, you want to have good communication with them. because, being friends could keep them from becoming enemies in a time of extreme need. This past year, you might remember we had a power outage. Our house was one of maybe 2 or 3 on our block that still had power because we had a generator installed a few years ago, and that saved our bacon, literally, because we had bacon in the fridge, and the fridge kept running, and things were cool. We could have stuck it outside because it was it was freezing temperatures outside. It was the ice that ended up knocking out power cables to our community. But we were able to stay warm. And if, worse came to worse, if I would have known that, there were certain, if there were elderly couples in my neighborhood, or just older people in general, or young couples with babies, I would have been inclined to allow them to stay warm if they couldn't stay warm, if the power outage lasted for a lot longer than just a couple of days. So, just a few tips for you. Prepare. Think about whenever someone says you should do something to protect your computer, you should also be thinking do something to protect yourself and your family. Yeah? No? That work for you? You happy? Let's talk about scams. Okay, or not? Right. I know you kind of looked at me like, Blum. Scams? What? Yes, just in case your friends turn into zombies. Ready? I received a phone call on my mobile phone. It was a few months ago, and they said, your credit card associated with your bank account, and they named the bank, has been compromised. Please press 1 to talk with a representative. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. I didn't realize I had a credit card at the bank. I bank at the bank that they had suggested I had the credit card with, but I did not realize that I had the card active. So instead of pressing 1, I pressed 0, and then the call hung up. Well, I was close to the bank, so I went into the branch and I asked, I said, well, what's going on? He says, oh, that's a scam. If you would have talked to them, they would have figured out a way to get information from you. And sometimes, you'll be talking to someone who's called you on the phone or sent you an email, and you're thinking you're giving them benign information, but all they need are just a few bits of verification, and they may know enough about you or the data that you have to be able to get to the other bits of information. For instance, they may say, Miss So-and-so, just to verify your account here at such and such a place, the last 4 digits of your social security number are X. Well, yeah, that's right. Okay. So we just need you to verify the number on the credit card that's in the back. It's 3 digits. Oh, sure. That's blah, 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 blah. You're giving them the complete information. You always have to be aware. Scams aren't going to go away. And worse yet, old scams never die. At least not while they still work. You'd think that people would be aware of old scams, but they still work. And they still work well. Make yourself aware of problems that happen before they happen to you. And then there are a lot of hoaxes and urban legends. A great resource for you to check out, Snopes.com. I've pretty much made it mandatory that my mom visit Snopes and do a search on something before she sends me any kind of warning. She's hip to that stuff. But, those old scams, the old school scams, you'd think people would be savvy enough to not fall victim to them, but they happen. The worst part, I think, about falling victim to a scam is feeling like you were violated. You were, taken advantage of. And it's embarrassing to admit that mistake, especially if you've lost money in the process. I've been scammed before, not through, I would say, larger scams that you usually hear about in the news, but I've certainly been scammed. And that's exactly how I feel. Violated. So take a look at the story that we've written about this particular topic. Old scams never die, at least not while they still work. Have you ever fallen victim to a scam? How did it make you feel? What do you want to tell the world about it so that they don't fall victim to something similar? Ready? I got an idea. What was that? Did you take a picture?
I'll take a picture with it.
You don't have permission to take my picture, hon. You didn't get a release. You didn't get a release for me to take my picture. You can't post that online. You have to talk to my agent. Oh, this is going to be a fun night, isn't it? Are you mad now? I'm kidding. You can take my picture. You can. She's crying now. I've got a transformer. It's a Darth Vader transformer. Cheapest piece of plastic that I'm glad I didn't have to spend full price on to get. I think, what does it transform into? Like a, what did it? A TIE fighter or something like that? It did something like that. What did it transform into? I can't remember. He's got 2 lightsabers. It's a Darth Vader transformer. What did he... I can't remember, huh? Yeah, I think it was a TIE... I think he transformed into a TIE fighter. Darth Vader's TIE fighter. That's probably what it was. This is a transformer. It's a Darth Vader transformer from Hasbro. And Hasbro kind of got upset at Asus when they named one of their Android tablets Transformer Prime. Asus is happy, though, because Hasbro did not win that particular lawsuit, and so Asus gets to keep the name Transformer Prime. Now, if you're not familiar with Asus Transformer Prime, this particular piece of hardware is, I would say, lusted after by many a geek. One of those geeks happens to be one of our Android fans on LockerGnome.com, and I'm very happy to report that we now have an official Asus Transformer Prime review posted now. You can take a look at the link in the description. If you thought that we only covered Microsoft Windows, you're wrong. We cover more than Windows products here on LockerGnome. We cover just about everything if you'd bother to look, and hopefully you will bother to look. So, Ron's first impressions. 1, the aluminum circular swirl backplate is very attractive and stylish. It is fast. He says, have I told you it has a quad-core processor? And it seems that it's taking advantage of the hardware. I mean, the software, in conjunction with the hardware. That's good news. He says, it appears to me that this unit is just slightly thinner and lighter than an iPad. Now, that's just off of feel. And honestly, you could look at the specs and say, oh, this one's heavier, this one's lighter. How does it feel to you? And to me, that's a greater revelation in the grand scheme of things. How does it feel? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? Screen quality, he notes, equals that of the first 2 generations of the iPad, not the newest and greatest, is what Ron notes. So he's saying that it's not up to an iPad 3 or a new generation iPad Retina display, but still not bad. Micro HDMI and micro SD slot card slots make the unit more versatile, and I think this is where non-Apple devices really have a leg up. The fact that you can offload data or use data on external storage, like removable media, like SD cards or micro SD cards. The HDMI slot, having it built in is nice. Of course, you can get an adapter for just about any one of those portable machines out there. And he notes that the 8-megapixel camera is an improvement over most tablets. Although, gotta tell you, I don't care what tablet platform you have. I just don't see many people using the cameras for anything other than maybe network time, as in like voice or video chats with one another. So he gives his experiences with the Transformer Prime, and he said that he believes that the Asus Transformer Prime is an excellent option for those who want to use an Android operating system instead of being locked into Apple iOS or iTunes Vice. So if you are looking for an Android tablet, the Transformer Prime may very well be it, if only because they have like a docking station type of option that will transform that tablet into more of like a laptop. So yes, you can connect, usually you can connect wireless keyboards, like Bluetooth wireless keyboards, to a variety of tablets. Asus has taken a step forward and made it seamless. Not just making it a case, but really making it work. And I guess it was an extra $150. So Ron basically compares this to a traditional laptop. And tablets are kind of in between, right? They're not really laptops. There are full touchscreen devices, but sometimes you do need a keyboard. What kind of keyboard do you want? Well, it depends on what feel you need for that keyboard. Is there good action on the keyboard? But he notes here, he says, well, why didn't you just buy a laptop instead of going with something like a tablet? He says, my laptop doesn't have the cool factor. A laptop isn't cool, whereas tablets are. Well, I guess that's how you define cool, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure. I don't look at laptops as being, never looked at them really as being cool. Maybe they're not as, sleek as a tablet type of computer. I think once laptops have touchscreen capabilities built in, whether we're talking a proliferation of slates or full-on tablets or notebooks that have touch screens, maybe they'll be cool again, because touch seems to be where it's at. And that's what he notes here. But he said that the same ease of transport as a tablet, something that brings it up more than a notch when you think of lugging it around through an airport terminal. And I think it's the biggest value that tablet computers have over traditional laptops, is they're typically lightweight, and as long as the screen is responsive to the touch, and as long as the platform is healthy enough and the apps are optimized for that screen size, I think you've potentially got a winner in your hands. I mean, yeah, you can have an app, but I'm big into that, the whole app being optimized for the screen size, and it's good to know that Google's paying attention to that, certainly with newer iterations of Android. I would say overwhelmingly a positive review of the Asus Transformer Prime. Take a look at the article. If you have any other suggestions for Ron or anybody else who has a Transformer Prime, feel free to share it. The thing is he's thinking that this is probably the best Android tablet there is out there. Well, what do you think? You okay? Mm-hmm. 5 tips on operating a game server. Are you ready? Remember LAN parties? They still happen, believe it or not. I was never actually invited to LAN parties, but I remember staying up late in the computer labs on my university's campus, where people would play Doom and go through all the levels. And I remember watching, but I never really got into it, even back then. I remember playing Doom 2 over an SPX network. We basically connected 2 33.6 modems across campus. We dialed into each other's computer, and network played. That was fun. It was a lot of fun. But I never really set up a game server. Never operated a game server, certainly. But would I know where to begin? Well, I've got a few tips, in case you're wondering. We've got 5 tips on operating a game server, published on LockerGnome.com. The link is in the video's description. The highlights, well, make sure the player slots are set up correctly. Seems to go without saying, but if you don't have the structure to be able to handle how many players are going to be coming in, you're asking for a nightmare. Do you have a decent internet connection? Well, that's another thing, especially if you're setting up the server through which all your players are going to connect. You may have a problem. Can your ISP handle it? Can the network handle the traffic? And granted, it may not be tons of traffic, but is your ISP going to play nicely, especially if you're setting up a server at home? Keep that in mind. Does the server need to be on all the time? Do you need to have a dedicated computer for that server? These are certain questions that you have to ask yourself. Are there enough users to require staff? So when I've participated with network games, specifically those running through someone's server, whether it was in their home or an office, usually if it's just a few people, it's not a big deal. A computer may be on all the time, it may not be. But when it scales to the point where people are on it all the time, you may need moderators or people from the community who can help keep an eye on what's happening. Staff, people to help you. And I think it's crucial for any community, especially community with high levels of engagement. You need help. I could not do the things that I do on a regular basis with LockerGnome and everything that you see before you without help from others. People who are within the LockerGnome organization or volunteers from the community who are very helpful and instrumental in making sure that things are going well. And then, of course, remember, and this is probably the biggest thing to remember, no, not about specs on the server. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. This is probably the biggest challenge you're going to face when putting together something for a group of people. Not everyone is going to have the same idea on how that server should be run or operated. It is a natural flow of communities. It's like an ebb and flow. And think of a game, a server, as sort of a nexus point for community. So when you put someone in control, or someone who is in control, wields that control and beats people over the head with it, they need to learn that's probably not the best way to wield power. This has taken 15 years of experience for me to understand, and I'm telling you this right now, finding, the right element to not just have all the right hardware and software in place, but the right people in place is going to ultimately spell the difference between success or failure, even with operating a game server. So, any other game server tips you want to share? Feel free to comment or leave a comment on the article on LockerGnome.com. Yay! Ow. I miss will eat you later, says JPN Garner. Well, I can't do it because I'm not done with the show. Does anyone know of a good printer to buy for the house, like an all-in-one? My all-in-one seems to be on its last leg, says Lisa. I've been happy. Epson has sent a couple of printers to me lately, and I've been pretty happy with my. It's a higher end one, the WP4540. It allows me to connect by way of AirPrint as well as Google Cloud Print. Kind of nice. So let's roll on to how to build websites in Windows 7. The first web page that I built was a personal one. It no longer exists, sadly. It was tied to an old university account. And I used, I think it was Pico or Nano to edit. HTML was pretty simple back in the day. Didn't take much. And it was kind of cool. I was able to put all the elements together. And it was interesting because the way it looked in Lynx was completely different than how it looked in Mosaic. And then Internet Explorer came along. And then, of course, Netscape. I remember the days fondly. In many ways, I still use basic text editors to build websites, if I build websites. And I don't really build websites. I play with CSS and I move code around, but it's usually done in a text editor. Building full-on websites, really, at this point, you're better off using a CMS type of construct like WordPress rather than just coding your own. That just seems to be like yesterday's news, unless, of course, you had a budget of millions and millions of dollars. Notepad, still recommended. I am a big fan of PS Pad. It's freeware for Windows. Notepad++ is huge with our community. Of course, there's also Microsoft Expression Web. Now, I don't know if you've used that or didn't even know that Microsoft had the software available. It was an acquisition. But you could use Microsoft software to build a web page. If you didn't want to use something like the software that was already on your computer, like Notepad, you'd have to download Microsoft Expression Web. It's not going to help too much when it comes to managing the WordPress stuff. You're better off using a WordPress theme editor specifically, or working within a framework for WordPress. Microsoft Web Matrix also suggested, and then a couple other suggestions that are not specific to Windows. My favorite website or theme editor in the entire galaxy, and I'll have to link it in the video's description and in this article, because it helps you build themes for standalone sites or WordPress, Blogger, Drupal, Joomla. It's called Artisteer. I did a review on it a long time ago. go.tagjag.com/artisteer. ARTISTEER. It's cross-platform, Windows and OS X, and you press a button, and suddenly you have a new theme that you can export and start using right away. You can even download a demo and try it. Fun, configurable, manageable, easy, and as far as building themes are concerned, I don't think it gets any better than Artisteer. Not a paid endorsement. If you want to give me the credit for it, again, go.tagjag.com/Artisteer. If you have any other recommendations on how to build websites in Windows 7 or beyond, feel free to leave a comment here or in the LockerGnome post for all of you Windows-loving friends. That was like friend and fan. Friends. Derp. All right, so let's talk about game publishers, shall we? Shall we, hun? You ready, honey? All right, let me pull up a game here. gotta find it. Got too many apps installed in this damn thing. Tilters. There we go. Ready, honey?
Right.
Can you see it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it now? Is that better?
Better.
Okay, go. You know, some of my favorite games in the entire world, number one, are casual games that you can pick up and put down. But I would say, more than anything, the thread that seems to run throughout all of my favorite games is how or who developed them. This is Cube Runner, one of my favorites. You just tilt the device back and forth to navigate through these cubes. It's very simple, crude graphics, but, it gets the job done. I'm entertained. And the fact that it was developed not by a game developer house or publisher, but an indie developer, makes me enjoy it even more. Because I feel that, it was created, and there's something pure about how it was created by an individual, not a company. Not to say that there's not a time and a place for enjoying games that are created by companies, because they usually have a bit more polish to them. But it's interesting. We've got a point out there. It's a story we've posted on LockerGnome.com, and it's titled, Game Publishers Are Obsolete, So Why Haven't Developers Ditched Them Yet? There have been a few games and applications that have been developed from indie developers simply by them going out to the community and posting something on Kickstarter and asking for a certain set of monies and giving bonuses in return for the people who would invest in them. Let me see if I can find it. I should have pulled this up beforehand. There is a game that is currently on Kickstarter, I hope. Yes, there's still 32 hours to go. Oh my goodness. You guys, you can give this a chance of winning. Feeble's Fable, The Legend of Runes. It's an adventure game, and 372 backer. I'm a backer. They need a lot more to go. 32 hours left in getting this thing funded. So the reason why I wanted to fund Feeble's Fable is because my favorite artist in the entire world, Justin Hillgrove, is doing the art, and I love Justin. As far as one could love an artist in his eye. He is amazing. In fact, I'm so happy he found out that Diane and I were married, and he knows that both Diane and I are huge fans of his. And Justin sent us a Darth Vader, a little statuette that he created. Kind of a fun one. Actually, can you grab it? I'll grab it. I can get it. It's right up there by the other statue that Justin gifted us. He's such a nice guy. Impsandmonsters.com. I gotta get that website out there. I've shared his art before. Here's Darth Vader, or Darth Lundberg. Yeah, gonna need you to come in this weekend. Justin made this. He crafted things together and made it his own. Obviously, he didn't, create and mold everything. But this is a Justin Hillgrove creation. But his art is just so captivating to me that I was willing to back this project, knowing that I could give this game studio, I wouldn't say a major game studio at all, because they came to Kickstarter to get their funding. I want to see Justin and his art come to life in a game, and to actually know that I brought it to life. And it's not that, I don't think that big game publishers can produce great games or bad games. It's just that, have you ever, waited so long for a video game to be released by a big publisher only to be disappointed with the game? Like, what was that? Like, really? I waited for that? How much money did you spend on that? Wow, what a waste. And it just seems to me, and I'm not the only one with the perspective, that these game publishers are increasingly becoming obsolete. Now, granted, there's still a place for game publishers in the world. And we've got a couple of comments that came in on the article, including from Crontab. He says, the main purpose of a publisher today is mostly likely to provide an extremely large amount of money up front to fund the development of a large game. The budgets of big budget video games are big, and no easy way a developer could raise the money required on their own as an indie. But does that mean that the indie developer couldn't create an amazing game that people would want to play and buy and spend their money on, or be willing to spend their money on? I honestly foresee a day where most amazing games are funded by the people who would want to play them versus put out onto the market and then sold in the way that they're sold today. Resources like Kickstarter are helping make it happen. I'm going to be disappointed if Feeble's Fable doesn't make the cut. I did my best. I spread the word. I'm spreading the word now to let you know that it's still a possibility that they can make it. I wish I had more video game connections in the industry to let them know that this is an amazing artist whose work absolutely deserves to be seen in a video game. That's to me, it would be a dream come true because I love Justin as an artist. So I want to help those indie developers. I love helping the indie developers, especially if they created something or want to create something that I want to experience. And I really believe that the future of video game publishing and enjoyment is going to be through crowdfunding and crowdsourcing rather than through game publishing houses that get the money up front to fund the development on video games that may never actually go anywhere. So I know we've got a lot of gamers in our audience. I think you'll appreciate the icon that we used for the article on LockerGnome talking about this story. And I know we've got a lot of people with opinions on it. I'm not going to give away the... okay, I'm going to give away the icon. Fine, I'll show you. There. It's a joystick. The funny thing is, I was playing Draw Something the other day, and I drew a joystick, and the person didn't know what it was. How do you not know what a joystick is? Late again. Ben Barley's Nut. Well, there you go. Next thing, Drawception. I'm drawing. I don't know if Squarespace works with it, but hang on. How to get that out of my system. Hang on, gotta get something else out of my system. Okay, it's out. It's an app, guys. No, it's not. It's an app. I really farted. See, I told you at the beginning, I said this thing is going to be a disaster, and I told you to prepare for it. I even gave you an article on how to prepare for a disaster. Ooh, singed them there. Woo! Wow. Aren't you glad you tuned in live for that one? All 166 of you? Thank you. 166 people who are watching live now, and thank you for the 113. Where's the other 50? There are 50 of you who are watching who did not like this video. What's up with that? And then 52 of you plus one it. And you guys got to understand, the plus one thing is going to become increasingly important over time. You caught our live Google Plus Hangout last night. Some of you commented on it, talking about why YouTube publishers, people who publish content on YouTube, need to be paying attention to it. And you should be paying attention to it. I will also tell you to be paying attention to our YouTube channel this weekend. We're going to be uploading at least one very special video that I think you will enjoy. I'm not going to give too much away. And you will enjoy it. Trust me. If you don't, I will be shocked. I will be surprised. But I will not be surprised if you guys did not click a link in this video's description to visit LockerGnome.com. And I hope you did. Honestly, we're publishing content for you. We're always looking for new contributors on LockerGnome.com if you would like to be a blogger on LockerGnome.com. And even if you blog on your own, that's fine. Maybe you're not getting a lot of attention for the stuff that you're writing elsewhere. We can give you some attention. Be happy to do so, especially if you love talking about technology and you've got some good stories to share, not just reporting the news. Everybody does that. That's interesting, yeah, but give us your opinion. Give us your thoughts. Let us know what you think. We live for your thoughts, or at least some of your thoughts. Some of you, I don't know why you try sharing your thoughts, because they're not really well put together at all. And some people are really mean, too. I don't know why that is. Not enough vitamin D, I think. It's a deficiency of some kind. So, thank you for paying attention for this particular broadcast. Thank you for watching all the videos we produce, not just the live shows. Thank you. Thank you for sharing them. Thank you for embedding them. Thank you for linking back to them. if you guys didn't realize that we have the backlink of the day every single day. Today was from MiamiShared.com, who linked back to our article on how or why you should simplify your tech lifestyle. And so when they link back to us, an article from LockerGnome.com, we find out, either because you email me, chris@Pirillo.com, or we get a track back from it, we promote you in return. It's a simple promotions. We've got other extended promotions in case you've got a website that you really want everybody to know about. We have a plan now for that, for helping promote your website and getting it out there year round. I'm very happy to share the word about you and your website. It's a possibility. Talked about it yesterday. It's a new thing on Nomies.com. So, thank you, Nomies. Word of the day is...
Is Darth.
Darth is the word of the day. And the Nomie of the day?
Is Kyle K.
Kyle K is Nomie of the day. Congratulations, Kyle. Congratulations. There we go.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. He's gone. Just like everyone else is going to disappear. As soon as I close this out, as I said, stay tuned for more videos we're going to be uploading over the weekend. Thank you so much for your attention, your time. And you got to know, I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your likes, shares, retweets, tweets, responses, emails. I appreciate you. And as does everybody here at LockerGnome. You're more than welcome to join us in the chat room. It's part of a live video feed going out over the web 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at live.pirillo.com. We'll see you later.